Salam everyone, and we are here with a fresh episode of Good Morning with Gayatri Mantra. And we are really blessed to be at the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Holy Gayatri Temple. You can have the resplendent darshan of Mother Gayatri, and she has sent to us Dr. Rajsheker to talk about her glory. Dr. Rajsheker has been serving as a physician in the US for more than 40 years, and whenever he's in India, in Puttaparthi, he spends a lot of time with students, with the nurses here, training them about food, about nutrition, about life support. He is a specialist in chronic pain management and someone very, very passionate about Bhagawan and someone who listens to the programs that happen in Sai Kubant Hall and has been deeply involved in the Sathya Sai mission. And yes, someone who has experienced the power of the Gayatri Mantra. So sir, please take us back to that beautiful episode that you were narrating about where you experienced how the mantra filled you with a power which protected you in your time of adversity.
Saram Bishop, thank you for doing this for me. This is one experience I will never forget among many. After I crossed 60 years, we were planning to go around and we took some vacation trips. And one of the trips was to Kenya. Our flight was from Dayton, Ohio to Washington, Washington to Nairobi. So we had a good, nice layover in Washington for 3-4 hours. But the morning when we went to Dayton Airport, so we were at the counter, and when I gave my passports and showed the itinerary to the lady at the desk, she looked at my passport and said, sorry, doctor, we can't let you board the flight. That was a shocking news for me. I was surprised and I asked, what is the reason? She said, did you notice, doctor, your visa, your passport doesn't have enough blank pages to put a stamp visa paper on your passport for Kenya. Normally, if the visa passport is 50-page book, 48 pages on the blank pages will be stamped like visa, V-I-S-A-S. And the last 2 pages, they're written as endorsements. I never paid attention to that. When I glanced the passport before our Kenya trip, I thought there are enough blank spots there where in case if it's upon arrival visa stamp, there's enough spots. And if it's a visa issued on a paper and it has to be stick to the passport, I saw 2 blank pages on the back. I tried to explain to her. She said, no, doctor, it's against international rules. We can't let you. It costs our jobs and all that. So I can't argue anymore. So I told my wife, let's chant Gayatri. And because I have to do other things, the lady at the desk said, the only option is you have to buy a separate ticket to Dayton, from Dayton to Washington, because this is attached to the international ticket. We can't let you. If you buy a separate ticket, you go to Washington and then go to the embassy, and then you can always get in a blank extra page the embassy can provide you. So I thought that was okay. Then how to buy the ticket? Unlike this, there's no counter. She said you have to book online. And I was looking at the clock. The flight takeoff was at 6:30, and the clock was already 6 o'clock. To call online and ask for a ticket, and we have to double spell the names. And you know how, unfortunately, our Indian names, you have to spell it out. That was taking time. And on the top of that, we have to give the credit cards, everything. It takes time. And then that ticket has to be transferred from the central booking office to the Dayton airport counter. It all takes time, and the clock was ticking. And in between, I was chanting Gayatri, and my wife and my friends were chanting, but I told my friends to carry on with their trip. They left. And then it was 6:15, almost 15 minutes. Finally, the ticket was issued and sent to the airport computer. And then we didn't have, and that lady helped us to go cut short through that checking because it was already late. They were just about to close the doors. We were last persons to enter the flight. at least now we can go to Washington, arrive there at 7:38, and our flight is at 12:30 from Washington to Nairobi. So we thought there's enough time. So my plan was to go to Washington Embassy, and then the embassy will issue a blank page or on the passport, so we can get going. But I have traveled so many places, but normally after you pick up the baggage, on the right side you see exit signs in a passenger pickup, cabs and all that. For some reason, for some purpose, I was not seeing an exit door on my right. Everything was glass windows. And I was telling my friend, see, normally there's exit windows, how to go? Then my friend said, maybe we are in the ground level because every airport is constructed differently. So I thought, he said, maybe it's upper level, Shekhar, let's go up. So there was an escalator, there's a mini escalator. So we climbed that one, and whatever, for our luck or whatever reason, among so many airlines, our airline counter was right in front of us. And then there's one person right at the desk. That normally doesn't happen. So my friend said, okay, let's try this. Maybe the lady in Dayton may not know the rules. Let us tell this person. So I showed the passport, and that person looked at the passport, my wife's passport, and he gave my visa to my wife. Everything was okay. My passport, he looked at it, my tickets, everything. He also issued boarding tickets for us.
Oh, she didn't have any question.
He didn't have any questions. Okay. So we went ahead, we stayed, but inside I was continuously worrying, so that while it's an 8-hour flight from Washington to Kenya, and all 8 hours, now I'm beginning to doubt and worry also, what if in Kenya they stop me and not allow me to enter Kenya, and they don't issue visa there? I'll be unnecessarily stuck in a foreign country. So that was the fear. But now time is running, and then I can't go back to the Washington embassy and all that. So we sat in the flight, and that 8 hours, we are chanting Gayatri, and we are sitting, but still there was a deep inside worry. What if they don't issue a visa? So we were chanting. That is Gayatri Mantra all 8 hours. And once we arrived in Kenya, what happened was, there are 2 lines. My wife, that's just our thinking. The lady in the line where the counter, she seemed to be a little irritated. But my wife said, maybe she's not in a good mood. Let us go to the other counter. I said, it doesn't matter. Let us keep chanting Gayatri and stay here. And then we waited. And when our turn came, we had to pay fees for the visa, and I put the fees dollar amount and gave 2 passports, and she took care of my wife, picture and everything. She issued visa on her passport, and it was okay. And mine, she thought everything was okay. She wrote on the visa paper. It's a sticker paper. She wrote every detail, everything. She took my pictures and all that. She peeled the visa sticker off, and then she was scanning my passport, where to put that sticker paper on the blank page in my passport. Then when she scanned my passport, she looked at me. Then I knew, then my chanting went on even more vigorously. Because normally, she would have just put the sticker on my passport. She looked at me, and I knew there was something. And of course, I knew I was, alerted in Dayton. Chanting kept going. And then she looked at me and said, first question she asked me was, Doctor, how did they let you fly out of Washington, D.C.? And here, now I'm sure that is related to the visa page. And of course, I can't lie, or I tried to be little not over smart or anything. I said, I don't know, ma'am. They let me in. I showed my documents, and they gave this boarding pass. Then she said, Doctor, people in Washington, they should have known better that you don't have a blank visa paper to put my visa sticker on your passport. Again, chanting was going on, but I'm not lying, but at the same time, I have to pretend as if I just pretend and said, ma'am, there are 2 blank pages at the end of the passport. She said, Doctor, did you ever read the passport? See, all the other pages have visa mentioned on the top of the page. And these 2 pages are written endorsement pages. These are not visa pages, even though they're blank. They're for endorsement for something else extra. You're carrying something, they have to do that. So I have no words. I can't argue with them. So I'm in that foreign country in Kenya. So I just kept quiet and said, I don't know, ma'am, and deep inside, Gayatri. That's all. Then she looked at me. She looked at the passport, looked at my wife, and one hand she was holding the already documented visa paper, looked and said, smiled and said, Doctor, for your sake, I'm going to put this on the endorsement paper of your passport. Go and enjoy our country, Africa. That's all she said. And our trip went great, thanks to the power of Gayatri. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Awesome, awesome. And I think all of us have experienced this any number of times, whether we are stuck in the traffic jam, whether we are stuck giving a talk, whether we are stuck while performing, whether we are stuck in doing our domestic chores, whatever it may be. If you chant the Gayatri Mantra, the power of the mother carries you, it uplifts you. And I think this is something that Sir has experienced, and this is something that all of us experience once we take this into our heart and practice it. Isn't it, sir?
Yes, I agree. And I have another small incident.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Again, related to Gayatri. This time, I was past 60 years, and then we made another trip to South America. And in South America, there is one Machu Picchu, that is a sightseeing place. But behind that, there is one mountain, which is called Huayna Picchu. It is mainly for the trekkers. We don't know how difficult it was, but we paid for that day, and then we were on our own to climb that mountain. And we didn't realize how difficult it was. And later on, I Googled it, and it's known as Death Valley, actually. So we thought, we planned, our intention was, because for South Americans, sun god is their main important deity. So our motive was to go on the top of the mountain and do Gayatri Mantra and pray to God. That is our objective. So with that objective in mind, then we started climbing. And it is not an easy climb for a 60 past person like me. Of course, I try to stay healthy, but still, it's not an easy climb, all mountains. And then, unfortunately, that day it was kind of little misty, moist, and all the stone steps and uneven steps. It's not steps like a regular steps in our buildings. So it's a difference in length and all. It's not an easy trip. So the whole 5.5 hours we took to climb continuously Gayatri Mantra, because the next thing, if you look onto the side, it's a deep valley. And then we have to carefully watch. You can't casually climb, we have to watch. So our 5.5 hours were chanting Gayatri, maybe eating a little snack, taking a few minutes rest. And there are certain places we have to hold on to an iron rope and not even, look at downstairs. That's how difficult it was. And because of our intention was to, pray to the God, and then we were chanting Gayatri. We successfully made onto the top, and by the time we reached the top, the clouds cleared and the sun god showed up, and we put Swami's picture and chanted Gayatri, and then came down safely.
Whenever we want super normal power, whenever we want divine energy to energize us, let us seek the power of this great formula given to us by sage Vishwamitra, the great power which will help us to scale no matter how high the peak may be. If our ideal is lofty, this power will enable us to scale that with ease. Thank you so much. Sai Ram, sir.
Sai Ram, thank you, Vishu.